What's up, guys? Lucas here, and today I'm going to be talking about the Denver Nuggets 2020-2021 NBA offseason. So looking at their 2019-2020 season, they had their second best player and their previous number one pick, Deandre Ayton, missed the first 25 games of the season, I believe, and it was because of a drug-related suspension. I believe it was weed for what he got suspended for, which is kind of ridiculous, but yeah, that happened, and that they had a really good start to the season, but then after that initial 7 to 10 game hot stretch, they definitely cooled down, and missing Ayton definitely hurt them throughout the regular season. But then once the pandemic happened and bubble play started, they were the worst team to make it in the bubble record-wise, but ended up going 8-0 during pool play and coming one game short of playing in the play-in game to see who would be the 8th seed. So they were really close to being the 8th seed last year. They were virtually one game out from being in the playoffs. So really good end to the season. Overall, just a positive season for them. They got better from the season before. So this offseason, to capitalize on that, they traded Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, and I believe 2 or 3 first-round picks for Chris Paul from the Oklahoma City Thunder. The trade, I really like it. I think this makes them better on all aspects. The only concern about this trade is how long Chris Paul's body is going to hold up for. He's been doing a lot of good dieting things. He was on the JJ Redick podcast, and he talked about how earlier in his career he would get injured so much because he wasn't on a diet like he is now, a plant-based diet that just he just wasn't having the right eating habits and workout habits, but now he is. Obviously, Father Time is undefeated, and eventually he will show some signs of age. But if he can be a all-NBA caliber player for this season and next season, this is definitely worth it. And yeah, he's just a great player. He's going to elevate everyone on this team. And yeah, I like the signing. Draft picks, Jalen Smith. He was picked 10th overall. A lot of people said this was too high for him. I like the fit. People said they should have picked Tyrese Maxey, but you already have a lot of pretty good guards on this team. So they lost if there was a position they needed, it was definitely the big, because they lost a few in free agency, and we'll get over that in a bit. But yeah, Jalen Smith, athletic 3-point shooter from Maryland. I really like him. He was a really fluid shooter for his height. And he has a similar game to Ayton, honestly, and a similar body type. They're just both freaks. They're just built 7-footers. So I like the signing. And he comes from a good background. He has a military family background. I happen to know a lot about this player, but I think it was a good signing. I think any draft pick is a risk, but I think he has a good chance of being good. Jay Crowder, or just free agents they signed, Jay Crowder from Miami Heat. That was probably the biggest one. I really like the signing. Jay Crowder is a good locker room guy, good chemistry guy. Just he's a pro is what I would describe him as. Just no nonsense, gonna come and do his work, go home. Decent 3-point shooter last year. For stretches, he was really good. And for some stretches, he wasn't. During the finals, he kind of cooled down a little bit, but early in the playoffs, he was knocked down from 3. And yeah, defense, just intensity overall. He's a good bench guy to have on your team, or just role player to have. Also, Langston Galloway from Detroit. He's more just a shooter with some ball handling ability. I don't know super much about him. I don't watch Detroit too much. Last time I watched him, he was on the Knicks, and then he was just a decent guard, just an all-around decent guard. But he had some big games in Detroit, shot really well from 3, so if he can hit his threes and play bench minutes, he'll be useful. And then E'Twaun Moore, I don't think he's going to be seeing the court that much, but E'Twaun Moore is a great locker room guy. I've heard he's one of the best dudes in the league from many different players. Not personally, obviously, but every player talks so highly of E'Twaun Moore, and Chris Paul even said, Devin Booker was the main reason, but seeing guys like Jay Crowder and E'Twaun Moore and Langston Galloway on this team definitely made the decision easier to go there. And then leaving them in free agency, they lost Aaron Baines to the Toronto Raptors. This one kind of hurt because Aaron Baines was really good for them. During that stretch that Ayton was suspended, Baines was one of the best centers in the league, honestly. He's just very good at the things you want a center to do. He's a good rebounder, good on defense, good at setting screens, plays with high energy, and he didn't do it the whole season, but he did shoot 40% on 3 shots a game from 3. His shot is fucking ugly, but, you know, like, if it can go in, if he's wide open, that's actually, like, a useful thing for him to have. And, yeah, it sucks losing him, but they did replace him with a draft pick, Jalen Smith, and Dario Sarich could also, I feel like, play the 5. They re-signed him. We'll get into that, but he's definitely a big 4, so I think it's fine if you slot him down at a position, and then obviously you're going to have Ayton for the whole season, so not a huge loss. And yeah, so Baines, tough one, but not that world-ending. Frank Kaminsky, and he's asking for too much money, but Frank Kaminsky also, he signed with the Sacramento Kings. He's not that big of a deal. He was a good backup center for them, but like I said, they signed Jalen Smith. They picked Jalen Smith, re-signed Dario Sarich, and they're going to have Ayton the whole year, so I don't think they'll really miss that much. And they have a lot of wings too, so I'm not scared about that position. Yeah, so then staying in free agency, they have the guards Cameron Payne and Javon Carter. So I guess Payne, they're kind of two of the opposite. They do the opposite things. So Cameron Payne is a really good offensive guard, just like shooting, pretty good ball handler, pretty good passer, was really good in the bubble for them. But defensively, he's not very good. And then Javon Carter is very good defensively, very just like aggressive on that end, can guard up a few positions even though he's really small, just gives you great effort, but not the best offensive player. He's not bad, but he definitely is an inconsistent shooter, not a great ball handler. Yeah, didn't see the court as much as Payne, but it's still a useful guard to have. And I think with those two, kind of like how teams do a big man by committee, I could see them doing a backup point guard by committee with those two guys. Having like a defensive guy and a scorer on your bench at all times is nice, and someone who can run the offense. They also have Cameron Johnson, who was their first round pick the previous season. He was similar to Jalen Smith, where people felt like he was picked too early for what he is, but he ended up being really good for them. He shot 40% from 3, and if he can do that, that's all he has to do really in the NBA, because he's a pretty good defender, not bad, but not like great. But as long as he can be decent on defense, a good 3-point shooter, he's going to get minutes in this rotation. Yeah, there's not much to say about him. I think if there's anything that could develop, it's some way his defense and his off-the-ball abilities. He actually has pretty good vision, but he's not much of a dribbler and he isn't great at finishing, but shooting and defense is his main calling card. So as long as he can do that, he'll be good. Dario Sarich re-signed with them. He was good for them last year. He's kind of hopped around a little bit. He's one of those guys that I feel like seems a lot better on paper than when you actually get him. That's why I feel like he's traded around a lot, because in a trade, like, he looks like an asset that you could be getting back, but then the actual product isn't as great. But still, he's a good passer for a big, pretty good shooter, not knocked down in any means, but you can't leave him open. Not a great rebounder, but it's fine. They have Ayton, and hopefully Jalen Smith can be a rebounder. But yeah, defensively, he struggles a little bit too, but now that he's going to be slotted down in position, he's not going to be guarding as fast of guys like 4s, so I think he'll be good on that for them. Mikhail Bridges was really good for them during the bubble. I think that's part of the reason why they were comfortable trading Kelly Oubre, because he wasn't there in the bubble and Mikhail was. Mikhail shot great from 3. It was just like exactly what he was supposed to be coming out of. Where did he go? Villanova. So yeah, he was just a perfect 3-and-D guy next to them, and like an elite 3-and-D guy where he's hitting all his, like, he's shooting high percentage from 3 and playing really good defense. So he's just, if he could do that consistently, he's going to be one of the best role players in the league. Deandre Ayton missed those 25 games like we talked about, but he's been really good for them. He kind of goes under the radar because he's in that draft. He was the number 1 pick in the Luka Trae Young draft, so people definitely forget about how good he has been. But he averaged like 19 and 10 last year. He shoots 3s, can score on all 3 levels, honestly. Super physical, and just his defense improved too, which was like the main thing about his rookie season. People said his defense wasn't very good. It was good. It was decent to good this year. So I really like DeAndre Ayton. I could see an all-star game from him this year even. I just think he's super talented, and his body is fucking amazing. Like, no homo, but the man is fucking jacked, and it's like he's 7'2", I believe. But yeah, he's very, very good player. Devin Booker, the star on this team, he had a really good bubble. He's been great for years. It's just the team around him hasn't been great. So I think now that he actually has a team around him, he's going to be as good as anyone in the league, and I think he has been for years. He's good at reading defenses, good at scoring on all three levels, good at getting to the line, good at all things offensively. Defensively, he really improved last year. Like, if you actually watch the Suns, which I did a good bit at the beginning of the year, his defensive intensity really improved, and he really isn't. He's a good defender. I'm not even going to say isn't a bad defender. He's a good defender, and obviously he's going to be the leading scorer on this team and the star, so I don't think that's going to be there every night. Like, I don't think he's going to be a dog on defense, but during like playoff series when they need him to defend, he'll be able to. And I just think this team in general, the sky's the limit. They have a good mix of young players and old. A lot of good veterans like Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, and young stars like Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. There's just a lot to like on this team. I think I could definitely see this team making I'm going to predict them to make the finals in the West, and it's tough to slot them anywhere in specific, like slot them somewhere, but I would say the 8-4 range, leaning towards the 4. So I could see them as like a 6 seed, or if everything goes well, a 5 or 4 seed. I don't see them cracking the top 3 because there's just too many teams that are too deep, and I think they'll have to have some adjustment period just because they do have a lot of moving pieces. But overall, I think this team's really talented. I could see them having a really good season. So yeah, that's how I feel about the Suns. Let me know how y'all feel. Comment below, like the video, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.